Hi everybody. In the previous video, we created a like and unlike function. In today's video, we are creating an almost identical function to pin and unpin posts. And we will create a task to show the pinned posts of the user in a link on the profile page. We will also update the VPS. As we already explained most in the previous video, we can do this in a quicker pace. Our first change is in the detail page task. Just like with the uLiked variable, we define a uPinned variable and set it default to false. We then check if we are in the list of users that pinned the posts. If true, we change the variable to true and pass it in a context box for both public and private posts. On to the detail page. As the pin button will only be usable by signed-in users that are not the author of the post, we moved it within the same statement as the like button. It's a post submit form in the action tag the URL of the Django task while passing the slug of the post. We also gave the form an ID for our JavaScript. Then comes the uPinned variable into play. If true, we show a green icon. We gave the icon an ID for the JavaScript. If not true, and the user did not pin the post yet, we show a gray icon, as you can see now. And we gave it the same ID for the JavaScript. We are not showing a pin count, but if needed it can be implemented in the same way as the like count. The script is almost a copy except for the count variable. We retrieve the form and icon color by their IDs and store them in variables. We listen on the page to the form if there is a submit event. If so, we pass the event to our stop reload function and prevent its default action, which is a page refresh. Next, we have our Ajax function. Checking the type of the submit. Adding the URL with the task while passing the slug. Next, we serialize the form into a data package and confirm the JSON data format. Ajax will then push the package to our backend task, which will process the form and send results back to our frontend as response. If a response is successfully received, Ajax will unpack it so that we can work with the results. And as no page refresh is happening, we need to take into account the original state of the button when the user entered the detail page. If the response is true, we know the user did not pin the post yet and was in the else statement in the form seeing a gray icon. So we remove the gray and add the green. From there on the script can do the thinking itself and add and remove colors depending on all following responses. The user will remain in the else statement in the form until the page is refreshed. In contrast, if the response is false, we know the user already pinned the post when entering the detail page and was therefore in if statement in the form seeing a green icon. So we remove the green and add the gray. From there on the script can do the thinking itself again and add and remove colors depending on all following responses. The user will remain in the if statement in the form until the page is refreshed. Note, we used booleans on the uPinned Ajax variable in our task, so we don't check the characters here, we just check if the statement is true or false. On to the URLs file. Basically a copy of the like URLs with some different naming. We added unique characters between the domain and passing of the slug. Each URL leads to a task and got a name. Let's check the tasks. First, our Django task. Wrapped in a login required function. The name freely chosen, passing the slug together with the request. Storing the user in a variable myself and retrieving the post using the get function and slug. Checking if the user is in the list of users that pinned the post. If true, we remove the user from the list. If not true, we add the user to the list. Then the user is redirected to the detail page task, which updates the uPinned variable, which then changes the button the user is seeing. Next, our Ajax task. Same procedure, wrapped in the login required function, passing the slug and request. Storing the user in a variable and retrieving the post. And here we define the uPinned Ajax variable. We set it default to Boolean false. Again, Checking if the user is in the list of users that pinned the post. If true, we remove the user from the list. In this case, the upinned Ajax variable remains false. If not true, we add the user to the list. In this case, we change the upinned Ajax variable to Boolean true. Then we send a JSON response back, and adding the variable which is then used in the script. In both tasks, users can pin and unpin using the URL. Concerning using the URL to execute a post-submit task, you can disable it with a request method check and nesting all code in it. Here the code is example. Checking if the request method is a post, if true, executing the task. If not true, and the request is only a visit of the URL, redirect to the detail page without executing the task. Let's pin the post and see how we show it. We are only testing the Ajax task. We know our Django task works. Pushing the button. And the color changed. No page refresh. Let's check if we really pinned it. And it works. We see the post. Let's check the code used. In the base template of the profile page, we added a URL link to the pin button. As always, the URL leads to a task and was given a name. On to the task. First we import the Django queue tool, which is a very helpful search tool to use on models. Our task is wrapped in the login required function. The name of the task, freely chosen. We pass the request. We define a context box. And store the user, aka requester of the task, in a variable. Next, we retrieve the list of posts that are pinned by the user. Note how we use the Django filter and queue tool to accomplish this. And we order the results by creation date and set a maximum to display. Django really does all the work for us. We store the results and the user in their context boxes and return a rendering of the pin HTML page, with the context boxes included. Note: the reason we created a separate task instead of adding the pinned posts in the above profile task of the user is because we want more flexibility and save up space on the profile page for other items. We created a base template for the pin page so that we can change the menu and footer as desired. For now we only gave the pin button a green color and linked the crown back to the profile page. The code on the pin page is familiar. We check if the list of pinned posts contains records. If true, we iterate over the list and store each result in a variable. And we pass the variable in the include of our snippet. The code of the snippet we already saw in a previous video. Now, let's unpin the post to see if that also works. Color changed. Through the profile page onto the pin page. And the post is gone. All seems to work. To wrap up, we're updating the VPS. As no migrations have to be done, we only have to drop the URLs and views files, both from the accounts and blog app. And our static and templates folder. And restarting G-Unicorn as we made changes in Django. Refreshing the homepage. Looks okay. We will do some testing off screen, but confident all is working as in development. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the next video.